Smoking has been a part of human culture for centuries. It dates back to ancient civilizations where tobacco was used in rituals and for medicinal purposes. Fast forward to the 20th century, smoking cigarettes became incredibly popular, partly due to clever marketing by tobacco companies. Hollywood glamorized smoking, making it look cool and sophisticated. However, as time went on, the health risks associated with smoking, like lung cancer and heart disease, became impossible to ignore. Despite this, smoking remained a widespread habit, with millions of people around the world lighting up every day. Vaping, on the other hand, is a relatively new phenomenon. It was introduced in the early 2000s as a supposedly safer alternative to smoking. E-cigarettes quickly gained popularity, especially among younger people who were attracted by the variety of flavors and the perception that vaping is less harmful. Unlike traditional cigarettes, vaping doesn't involve burning tobacco, which means it produces fewer toxic chemicals. But just because it's newer and marketed as safer doesn't mean it's risk-free. The debate over the safety of vaping continues, with research ongoing to determine its long-term effects. So, while smoking has a long, well-documented history, vaping is still carving out its place in the world, with both its popularity and scrutiny growing rapidly. Make sure to subscribe to Brain Blitz. Alright, let's get into what happens right away when you light up a cigarette. The moment you inhale, you're drawing in a cocktail of harmful chemicals and tar. This sticky, toxic goo settles in your lungs and starts wreaking havoc immediately. Imagine trying to breathe through a straw filled with gunk. That's kind of what happens. Your airways get irritated and inflamed, making it harder to breathe. You might notice that you start coughing more as your body tries to clear out all that junk. Plus, smoking reduces your lung function pretty quickly, meaning your lungs aren't able to pump oxygen into your bloodstream as efficiently. This can leave you feeling short of breath even with simple activities. Now, let's talk about the long game, the long-term effects of smoking on your lungs. If you keep smoking over months and years, the damage really starts to add up. Chronic bronchitis is a common issue, where the airways are constantly inflamed and produce a lot of mucus, leading to that persistent smoker's cough. Emphysema is another serious condition where the tiny air sacs in your lungs get damaged, making it incredibly hard to breathe. And, of course, there's the big one: lung cancer. Smoking is the leading cause of lung cancer, responsible for the majority of cases. This isn't just about having a bad cough. These are life-threatening conditions that severely affect your quality of life. So, while the immediate effects are bad enough, the long-term consequences of smoking are downright scary. So, what happens when you take that first puff from a vape? While vaping is often marketed as a cleaner alternative to smoking, it's not completely free of downsides. When you vape, you're inhaling a vaporized liquid that often contains nicotine, flavorings, and other chemicals. Even though you're not inhaling tar like you do with cigarettes, this vapor can still irritate your lungs. Many people report a burning sensation or a sore throat after vaping, which is a sign of your body reacting to these foreign substances. Additionally, some users experience coughing and shortness of breath right after vaping, indicating that their lungs are not exactly thrilled with what's being introduced to them. Now, onto the long-term effects. This is where things get a bit murky because vaping hasn't been around as long as smoking, so we don't have decades of data. However, early research and some recent studies are starting to paint a concerning picture. There's evidence suggesting that regular vaping can lead to chronic lung issues, much like smoking. Conditions such as popcorn lung, a serious and irreversible condition caused by inhaling certain flavoring chemicals, have been linked to vaping. There's also concern that vaping might increase the risk of developing chronic bronchitis and other respiratory problems over time. While it might seem safer at first glance, vaping still involves inhaling substances that can cause significant damage to your lungs in the long run. The bottom line? Vaping is not risk-free, and its potential long-term health impacts are still being uncovered. Let's break down the chemical showdown between smoking and vaping. When you light up a cigarette, you're inhaling a cocktail of over 7,000 chemicals. Yep, you heard that right, 7,000. This includes well-known nasties like tar, carbon monoxide, and a whole slew of carcinogens. It's no wonder smoking is so damaging to your health. On the other hand, vaping liquids, or e-juices, do have fewer chemicals, but don't be fooled, they're not exactly harmless. Vaping liquids typically contain nicotine, which is highly addictive, along with propylene glycol, glycerin, and a variety of flavorings. Some of these flavorings, when heated, can produce harmful substances like formaldehyde and acrolein. So while vaping might cut out some of the toxins found in cigarettes, you're still exposing your lungs to potentially dangerous chemicals. Now, let's talk about how all these chemicals actually impact your lungs. Studies have shown that smoking wreaks absolute havoc on your lung health, leading to diseases like chronic bronchitis, emphysema, and lung cancer. The tar and toxins from cigarettes cause long-term damage that can severely impair your breathing and overall lung function. Vaping, being a newer phenomenon, doesn't have as extensive a history of research, but early studies are starting to raise red flags. For instance, research indicates that vaping can cause lung inflammation and may lead to conditions like popcorn lung, due to certain flavoring agents. While it might be less harmful than smoking in some respects, vaping is by no means safe. Both habits can lead to serious lung health issues, so choosing one over the other is like picking the lesser of two evils. Ultimately, the healthiest option is to steer clear of both smoking and vaping. Make sure to subscribe to Brain Blitz. Now, let's dive into some recent studies to back up what the experts are saying. A study published in the New England Journal of Medicine found that long-term smokers have a significantly higher risk of developing chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, and lung cancer compared to non-smokers. However, the study also indicated that e-cigarette users exhibited symptoms of respiratory distress and lung inflammation, though to a lesser extent than traditional smokers. Another study from Harvard University highlighted that certain chemicals in e-liquids, particularly diacetyl, are linked to bronchiolitis obliterans, commonly known as popcorn lung. While vaping might cut out some of the more harmful elements found in cigarettes, it introduces new risks that are still being fully understood. The bottom line from these studies? Both smoking and vaping can significantly impair lung function and lead to serious health issues, though smoking remains the more harmful option overall. Smoking, with its 7,000+ chemicals including tar and carcinogens, is undeniably harmful and leads to severe lung conditions like COPD, chronic bronchitis, emphysema, and lung cancer. Vaping, while marketed as a safer alternative, is not without its own set of risks. It involves inhaling chemicals that can cause lung irritation, inflammation, and even serious conditions like popcorn lung. So, while vaping might be less harmful than smoking, it's definitely not risk-free. Both can seriously impact your lung health, so it's crucial to understand these dangers. From what we've discussed, it's clear that the best choice for your lung health is to avoid both smoking and vaping altogether. However, if you're faced with choosing between the two, vaping might be the lesser of two evils, but that doesn't make it a good choice. Quitting nicotine entirely is the best option for your long-term health. Remember, your lungs are vital for your overall well-being, and keeping them healthy should be a top priority. Take care of your lungs, and they'll take care of you. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What do you think about smoking versus vaping? Have you had any experiences with either? Share your thoughts, stories, and questions in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe to Brain Blitz, hit the like button, and share this video with your friends. Don't forget to check out our previous video where we explore another hot topic, 30 Days on Weed, how cannabis affects your body.